Hello and welcome here at Fiera Bolzano, Messe Bozen. We're happy to have you here at our second interview, this time with Anna. Anna started as a project manager, went into the sports sector, and is now working here as a Messe. Let's have a look into her workplace and into her work life. Follow me.
Okay, so Anna, could you please tell us a little bit about your background in studying and what did and where did you study?
Okay, so my studies didn't start with the objective of working in the sports field. I actually started studying linguistics in Italy. So I did my bachelor in Siena, in Tuscany.
Nice.
And but during this experience, I happened to be volunteering at a world championship, Nordic ski world championship, at home in Val di Fiemme, and that completely changed my mind about what I wanted to do in my life. I was just so amazed by the atmosphere that this sports event was making, and about how happy the people were there. And I said, I want to do that as well. I want to make people happy in making them go to events together. And so I looked for a master in sports event management,
Okay.
and that's where I found Kufstein.
Kufstein. I think that we share a little bit the same experience. So what did you like the most about your degree in sport, culture and event?
I think the part that I like the most is not strictly connected to the studies part. I think what I like the most is the life in Kufstein and what the atmosphere it created with with my colleague at university, because we were still not that international within our class, because we were the very first class of the SEM studies, and there were mostly Germans and Austrians, and we were only 6 or 7 international students. But still, we managed to make a very close connection between each other. We were doing a lot of stuff also outside of university. And I think that's the part that I really enjoyed the most about the life in Kufstein.
Okay, so you said that your first experience related to the sports sector was before you actually started studying there. So can you tell us a little bit more about your first experience with the World Cup in Val di Fiemme?
Actually, it was not really the first experience, because coming from Val di Fiemme, which is a very sports area, I already did some volunteering for sports events in the past when I was younger, because my aunt was also working with Marcia Longa, with sports events. So I was already working, like helping out as a volunteer. But yeah, the World Cup experience just changed my perspective also from a personal point of view and career.
And how did you manage to get the job there? Was it randomly? Did it happen randomly? Someone asked you to join, or you wanted to be part of that?
When I saw that there was a World Championship, and it's more of a cultural thing, I think. In the Valley, when there is such a big event, everybody just feels like they want to help, because they want to show how beautiful the region is. They want to be part of it. And I think it was kind of what happened to me as well when I applied to be a volunteer there.
Yeah.
And I had no idea it would impact my career as well.
So that was our first part. As we want to show you also how wonderful this place is, we brought you a little insight So let's have a look into it.
So would you like to tell us a little bit more about this? That was one of the first experiences that you've done.
Exactly that.
And that's also really, really important for the place you come from.
Marcialonga, I guess it's more of a cultural thing in our valley. So basically, after my graduation, I first went for 6 months to New Zealand, where I worked in an exhibition center. And after that, I came back home. So in Italy, and I started to look for a job. And I heard that there was a vacancy at Marcialonga. So I definitely wanted to work in the event field, and what could be better than Marcialonga coming from Val di Fiemme. So I applied, and yeah, I started my career, and I was working for 2.5 years in Marcialonga. So first I was replacing a girl that got a baby. It was just the right job, so they kept me. I stayed there working for 2 more years. So I was in charge for communication, and especially for social media, and taking care of the website, sending out newsletters, and it was a very enriching time. So I think I learned many, many things there. Also, one of the things which was very important was to handle with people.
Yeah.
So, which is something that you don't really learn when you are in school.
Yes.
But that's definitely important in our job, especially working with events. We work with people, so we have to know how to handle them, to listen to their needs, to find the right compromise, and that's definitely something that I learned working at Marcialonga.
And after those 2 years, did you decide to change? Did you start working here already after that? Or did you have any other experiences before coming to the Messe?
Actually, while I was in Marcialonga, I also had another job.
Okay.
Marcialonga is composed by 3 different events. One is Nordic skiing, one is biking, and one is running. And the Nordic skiing marathon is also part of a circuit, which is the World Loppet Ski Federation. I was working at World Loppet as a communication manager, and that included taking care of all the channels, social media, website, press releases, so all the contacts with the press, and also publicity. And the part that I liked the most was being on site at the races, because it has 20 international races from all over the world. So I traveled, well, actually only in Europe, because COVID came and I was supposed to fly out to exotic destinations, but that never happened, unfortunately. But still, looking at it now, I was still very lucky, because there were many people that during COVID didn't manage to work. And I was lucky because both in Marcialonga, we managed to keep on going with the events, because they were international events. So with specific regulations, they could be organized. And at World Loppet, well, all races stopped, so there was nothing to do. So I came up with this project about like communication project, which is called World Loppet Stories. And it was to make people tell us, like the goal was to let people tell us the stories about what happened at the races. Okay. And it was stunning how many funny and amazing stories came out. So in the end, like we managed also with the team to
overcome
this obstacle and turn it into something really positive.
Okay, so talking about COVID period, there were of course obstacles and challenges that you had to face. Would you say that you learned something that it's still really useful right now for you? Do you think that COVID changed the way the whole event management is perceived now?
Well, For sure, it has brought many, many different challenges, both on a personal way, on how people think about events. Now, in the past years, it's better, but at first, when events restarted, I think people were still a bit scared of going to events. They wouldn't even think of going, or maybe they wanted to, but still were a little bit afraid. And now I think this thing has changed. As I wouldn't say has come back to how it was before, but there is a new enthusiasm for meeting people. So maybe in some ways it's even a stronger need of going to events. And for sure, it has also changed from an organizational point of view, because it gave many, many challenges to adapt to regulations, to find ways to acknowledge the regulations and try to do the best out of it. Because if you looked at the regulation, they were pretty scary. You would say, okay, why should I do something? Because it's so complicated. What should I do? But then, like, also working in a team, I think always helps a lot, because there are always different personalities, and those who want to dare a bit more, those who are a bit more cautious.
Yeah,
So basically, I think it helped also to change a little bit this phrase that many people say, like, we have always done it that way.
Yeah.
So it kind of helped in this way.
To close up a little bit about the sport management sector, because now we know that you're taking care of many, many different projects. What do you think is the hardest part of being a sport manager, or being in the sport sector, let's say?
It's hard to say which is the hardest part. I could tell you what the most beautiful part is, which is when you have a passion for something and you work for it.
Yeah,
that's something amazing. Like, it doesn't even seem like you're working. For sure, there are also hard parts, because if you work, for example, in the outdoor industry, also being always outside, no matter what the weather is, can be a little bit challenging sometimes. But in the end, if you like your job, I think that's the key. If you like it, you can manage also to overcome the hardest parts. And I think that's something very specific of the sports industry, or from my experience. Working in the sports industry, I always met people that had this huge passion about what they were doing and about the sports. So I'm not sure about how it is in the other sectors, but this is really what I found special about sports. And maybe this can result sometimes in unorganized people that have a lot to do because they want to do everything because they really like it. So it might be a bit confusing sometimes as an industry. But I think in the end, that's the characteristic, so that's part of the game.
But now you're a project manager here at the Fiera. Could you please tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now? For example, like a project that you're taking care of, or that you just worked on, for example?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I've been working now for 1 year here at the Fiera, at the exhibition center in Bolzano. And as a project manager, I take care of different side events of 3 different fairs. So, for instance, I'm working on the Interpoma, which is the only international fair only about apples. So, which is very typical for the area, because in South Tyrol, apples are part of the tradition and of the local industry.
Biggest market, probably.
Biggest market. You can see it when you go around. So I'm taking care of the side events for that project, which was last year in November. So organizing the opening ceremony and taking care of exhibitions, and we also had a congress, a 2-day congress in with translations and
international speakers from all over the world. And we organized also some tours to show people about how things are made in South Tyrol in the industry. And so there were lots of sub-projects to follow within the content and event side for this fair. And the last fair I was working for is the ProWinter fair, which was this January.
Okay, so and do you think it helped studying in Kufstein sport, event and culture management for your job? Do you think it's a great university?
Yeah, I really think it helped. Like I think more than the hard skills, let's say, I think it kind of helped more with the soft skills because, for example, coming from Italy, we have a different system of studies. So we are more concentrated on theory and writing your essay, or like it's more of a passive way of studying, let's say. So and going there to Austria kind of opened up a new way, which is more similar, I think, to the work field. So, for instance, when I came there, I was in a big troubles making a presentation, like not doing the PowerPoint itself, because I've always liked the graphical stuff, but presenting it to other people and accepting the questions. And that was something that I was not used to, or also talk in public. Like for me, also talking into the classroom at first was something that scared me to death, because I was
I totally understand.
yeah, I was not used to it. Not that I wasn't able to, but I was not used to. And in this, the university helped me a lot. And also now for work, I sometimes need to make videos or to present something or to talk in front of many people. And that's something that I'm not scared anymore after the studies in Kufstein, and also working with other people, like all this work, the projects in a team, work in a team was something that I learned to do better in Kufstein for sure.
What tips would you give to us students and future graduates? And maybe if you have some like recommendation, especially for us that we are mostly international students, what do you think it was easy, for example, to come back to Italy and find a job in Italy or abroad after having graduated in Austria, for example? Because many of us are actually thinking about not staying in Austria and maybe going to Germany or somewhere else. So we would like to understand also a little bit how it is to graduate and then looking for a job abroad.
So from my experience, the master was recognized also abroad, because both when I went to New Zealand it was an internship, but still they acknowledged the master. And also when I started in Italy, and also when I worked for the World Loped Federation, which was also a very international job, because the seat was in Estonia, but the races are all over Europe and even Asia and New Zealand, Australia. So I really think that the master is acknowledged everywhere. And well, it might sound easy, but just try. Like, even if you're not sure that for example, you don't have all the requirements that are on the list, or they ask for knowledges that you still don't have, I would just say try, because you first have nothing to lose, and second, for example, I think in many companies they value hard skills, but they value much more soft skills. So if you are a curious person and you're willing to learn something new, I think and if you're able to work together with other people, it's more important than what you actually know, because knowledge is for sure very important, but it's also something that you can keep on improving. So it might scare you if you don't have all the requirements, but it doesn't have to, because you can always try, and then maybe you really find the work that suits you and your personality, which is way more important in the end.
Okay, so thank you very much, and we will see you at the live Q&A.
Bye.
Here we are back in the studio. I hope you liked our first recorded part. Let's wait a second for Anna to come back to us, and then we can start with the live Q&A. I already saw you have quite a few questions in the chat, and I'm excited to ask them now to Anna. Hello, Anna. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. And thank you for having me here and for all the many questions and interesting questions that you brought during the interview. So let's start.
Perfect. First of all, thank you very much for giving us such interesting insights. I think a few questions already got asked through the recorded one, so we won't ask them to you again. I hope that is for everybody okay. And we'll just start with the first one. So, could you tell us a little bit more about maybe a favorite story of yours about your work or when you studied? What helped you get the job?
Okay, so, well, a favorite story, if I understand well, a favorite story about my work. I would like to tell you like my favorite part of my job. That was one thing that I really loved in each one of my job, which is the part when everything is set for the event to start and we can actually start the event. So it's a mix, it's a moment of mixed emotions, of thrilling, of relief that everything is starting and is going well, and especially now at the fair where I'm taking care of opening ceremonies, and so it has to be everything ready, and I have the honor to give the start sign. It's always like taking a deep breath and say, okay, everyone is ready, let's do it. We have been working for this, and finally everything takes place in front of our eyes. That's something that is amazing. And regarding something that helped me from university in the work life, I think I might have already answered it in the video, but yeah, it helped me a lot, like learning how to present presentations and things to other people. So what I learned at university was to talk more in public, to present what we have been working on in a group, and also to work on a project with a group. And that was something that I really valued and was very helpful in my career.
Great. When you say that is like one of your favorite parts, to be together with your team at the beginning of it, do you maybe have some kind of ritual going on, like some team bonding thing, or is it just a feeling for you all to have it done and to start fully into it?
Well, I wouldn't say there is a ritual, because like still, like on an opening ceremony, it starts, but you still have to be very focused and concentrated. So it's a first step of relief, but then the work keeps on going. So what we have as a ritual could be like the evening party after the event day is over. That's for sure something that always happens and always happened at every work I was working at. So, but yeah, we don't have some like sign during the event, some special moment just at the end, let's say.
Well, I think that is also a really fun ritual, actually, to come all together and to celebrate what you have created here. Um, Speaking of creating, here was, I think, something really interesting about your switch basically from the sports sector. Really, why did you leave the sports sector to work at this exhibition center? What was your motivation behind it?
Well, actually, when I worked in the sports event industry, I was working in quite small teams. So in the first one, we were 4 in the whole project team, and in the second one, we were 5. So it was quite a small team where I felt that I needed more structure and try to work in a bigger company where with different sectors and with very clear roles and who is doing what. And because when you're working in a small company, it happens that in the end everyone does everything. So which is obviously okay, but it might be confusing at times. And like if you wanna grow a little, it might be I mean, in a smaller company, there are less chances to grow. So I decided to move and go to a event, like exhibition event sector, and to keep on improving. And in the end, I don't feel I completely left the sports sector because I'm still working every now and then as a freelance at other sports events, mountain bike events. And I'm still working on a winter sports exhibition. So I'm not completely out, and who knows, maybe in the future we'll go back to sports again.
When you're speaking about the sports event, they are probably you're talking about Pro Winter also, and when I'm thinking about that, you were talking about the side events which you organize also. Is it difficult for you to find new ideas, or do your customers always want the kind of same event?
I think it's a bit of a mix because on one side you have tradition, like what people expect or what are used to, and so it's important to have them as well. But you can still play on the formats and the contents, and especially Pro Winter now is being renewed completely because. Working in an exhibition center, we need to be very close to the market, like to look at how the market is moving as we are bringing new things on the market together with our exhibitors. So we need to both be the innovation and also check with them the innovation and help them grow this innovation. So I would say it's a mix of both. And the fair is now changing from renting equipment to selling equipment. Like the focus is not more on rental but on selling. So according to this change, exhibitors has changed, and we are working on new events. Next year we are going to launch a test event for the first time. So it's a lot to do, and there are always like as a project manager, of course, I cannot have all the knowledge about the sector. So I'm always working closely with people, with experts that work day to day in the field. And I'm kind of helping them, finding the best shape for the event, both for us, for the visitors, and for exhibitors.
That sounds quite interesting, and also like you're learning every day something new, basically. And that brings me actually to our next question. Are there any additional qualifications in addition to your studies one should obtain to work in event management?
Well, I don't think they are really compulsory because it's very, it depends actually, because I've seen job descriptions that didn't even require a degree. There were others that required some extra certification. And so it depends on where you want to apply. So, I think it's better that you check, especially in the field that you are interested in, if these are required. And in any case, even if they are not required, like I'm a big fan of constant learning, and I also did some more certifications in digital communication and project management. And even if they were not compulsory, I'm pretty sure it's still like a plus, and especially for yourself. And it can also show the company you're applying that you're someone that is curious and keeps on learning and wants to grow, and can be a big plus for their company.
There seems to be quite a lot of interest in learning all your life. So what is a skill one can't really get taught while one studies, but was important for you to learn from experience?
Well, I think it's, as I said in the interview, is dealing with people. That is something that partially was also touched during the master course, but I think these are one of the things that you are learning, but unless you are in the field, like working every day with people, you cannot really understand it deeply. And still, people are so different one from each other, from one sector to the other. The different stakeholders are so different, like talking to a sponsor or talking to an exhibitor, you have to completely change your approach. So that's what I found more interesting to learn by doing.
Totally understandable. I think that feeling everybody has had already in their lives. Today I'm talking with this person, today with that person about all kinds of different things.
And also knowing that projects you can be very good at doing all the plans and projecting, like previewing everything that could happen, and in the end it always never, well, okay, it goes as you planned, but there are always things that are not going as you planned. So in the end you always need to be flexible and try to solve it the best way possible. So
I think we all got some experience in that.
You managed great.
I hope so. I mean, fingers crossed. I need some wood. Knock, knock, knock. Everything seems to be working. Speaking of working, there's actually a question about the work-life balance. Is it easier to have a good work-life balance working at the fair than working in the towards events?
Well, I think this always depends on the work you're doing, because depends on with which events that you're working. For example, one of my former colleagues is working with concerts, and for sure she's working a lot also on weekends and when people are going out to the concerts. And for my kind of events, like working with big events, I feel like I have a quite good work-life balance, because we have like longer planning phases, and then you always have the pre-event phase, which is way more intense, but you may do some more hours during these days, but still, like working for these events, I work on weekends only during the event, or some weekend more if I have to go to attend another event or do some promotion. But still, it's not that I'm working all the weekends, but that clearly depends on which event you're applying to.
Quite fascinating. Well, let us jump to the next one. I think it's great to know. So maybe I will look more into jobs at the fair than at the. We we will see what the future brings. Actually, and that brings me to the next question, because did you consider applying for a job in Kufstein or Austria after your studies, or was it clear for you to go back to Italy?
Actually, when I finished my studies, I didn't want to apply anywhere. I just wanted to do 1 year abroad to get some more experience. I first thought about going 1 year to Canada, then I changed my mind and went to New Zealand. And so I wanted to work in the event industry. So I found a job in New Zealand, also in an exhibition center, and helped out within the marketing department. So I really wanted to travel a little, and yeah, then I went back to Italy and found this job offer at the Marcialonga, and I didn't move anymore.
New Zealand, favorite land, favorite country.
Yeah, worth a visit.
You totally got me there. So maybe that actually makes you able to answer the next question, because that is a little bit about freelancing. How do you find jobs as a freelancer, or did New Zealand not go in that direction, or your experiences?
Well, in New Zealand, I was not freelancing. But for example, now, well, it's hard to say. I think it goes a lot through connections, like talking with people and maybe being at events and asking the organizers. Like the events I'm freelancing now, it's actually a job that I started when I was studying in Kufstein, because my flatmates had a friend working for these events, and like just talking, they needed people that talk both German and Italian, and yeah, I started, and we just got along well, and we're keeping on working with that.
So you would say networking is basically the key to find the interesting jobs that are not directly on the surface. So
yeah, but actually networking is important in everything. Like either if you're looking for a job or you're looking for a project for your company, like talking to people just opens up so many possibilities or new ideas, and it has a really big power.
Here's actually one for the following future, which I find quite interesting because my heart is also beating for the Olympics. Are you part of or collaborating with the organization committee of the Winter Olympics 2026 in Fiera Valley? If so, are you going to work both there and at the fair in 2026?
No, right now I don't have any connection to the Olympics. Well, actually, when I worked at the World Cup events, I was working with the committee that is now the local committee in Val di Fiemme for the Olympics. But still, I felt I needed something else in that moment. So I'm sure at some point I will go back to the Olympics in some way, but for now, I need something different. So I think it's also good to recognize what are your like your priorities at that moment, and just listen to them, and everything will work out at some point. So.
Did you ever feel when you say, yeah, you had the chance, probably a lot of people would do a lot of things to get this chance, and you say no, do you later on regret it, or think like, oh no, everybody else would have loved to take the chance, maybe I should have taken it also? Or are you quite happy with your decisions and say like, I'm in peace with it?
Yeah, actually I try to listen to what I want, which is very hard sometimes, because you always have someone to tell you what to do, or people that wish to have what you have and might influence you. But I think well, sometimes compromises are good, but you have to choose on which things you can compromise or not. And like for me personally, staying there and working in the committee for the Olympics was something that I didn't feel was good for me in that moment. So I stick to that, and I still not regretting, and I don't think I will regret it because I did what I felt. So when you do what you feel, there's not much space for regret.
I think that is actually a good sentence to have in the back of our minds to guide us a little bit. The time is slowly coming to an end, so I will ask one of our last questions, and basically coming back to the FH Kufstein, to the study program. Looking back, do you think the program offers an equal emphasis on all three sectors, sports, culture, and event?
Well, this is hard to say. Like, I cannot tell you right now how it is. We were the first year of studies, and so we were kind of like the, let's say, pioneers of the English full-time masters. And in that year, there was maybe more, there was more emphasis on the sports part, a bit less on the cultural part or event part. So yeah, I felt like back then there was a bit of unbalance, and that was also something that my colleagues that were more interested in culture were saying. But I couldn't say right now how the balance is, so I can only tell you our experience back then.
So maybe I can quickly just say, if it's from somebody who is interested in studying here at the moment, for me, I felt it was really equally, but through some selection classes, each person can decide on what to put the emphasis on, if you want to have a deeper look into culture or sports or event management. So I think overall it can be quite interesting for everybody around. So actually, now is my last question, because I think it's always so interesting to hear what people have to say at the end. What would you want to tell us as ongoing students, as future graduates, for our future? One sentence or one quote which you would love to give us on our way.
Well, I think I would reconnect again to the quote that I left you also on the video, because I think it's really important that you just try and are not afraid of neither asking what you think you can deserve, nor to try to apply to something that you feel that could be right for you, even if you don't have all the requirements. So I think that's something that is really important. And actually, I can also tell from experience that I also applied to jobs that I wasn't even sure I could be suitable for, and still got called back. So just try, and we'll see what happens. And good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. We would take this with us, just do it, try it out, be on the forefront to your dreams. Thank you so much for being here with us, for giving us this insight, for having a look back, but also into the future of what we can do in the future, what job opportunities are out there. To everybody else, we have a little bit of a question, of a feedback sheet that will be used to quickly put up in the chat. And with it, of course, we have a little possibility for you to win 2 entrance tickets to Swarovski Crystal Worlds. So this is actually possible for everybody. So even if you are from far away and want to visit Kufstein Kufstein. Kiefersfelden is 5 minutes away in Germany. Kufstein and the surrounding areas, you can have now the chance to win 2 tickets and go, with a friend of yours to experience the Kristallwelten. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being part of this, for asking your interesting questions. We hope to see you soon next week again with us for our next live stream and our final live stream for this semester. We will have here Florina Ella, who will tell us a little bit more about, not only working in the event sector, but also going into a little bit of the production side of things, since she is talking about paragliding and how it is to, fly with the birds, basically. Thank you also so much to our sponsors. As you can see, Sparkas, the FH Kufstein, and for all the help here in the studio and everything surrounding the project from the FH Kufstein. We hope you enjoyed it also. And again, thank you very much, Anna. I hope you will all have a wonderful evening. Go outside, enjoy the sun, maybe, go on a little walk at the end of the day, and see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.